which I think is amazing.
And they've been asked?
They've been asked directly.
And they say what?
We're not answering that question.
Okay, so not no.
So my point would be, look, then you're not getting any funding. You're not getting $1 chance. It's our country, and if you're running a criminal enterprise on our soil, like countries do dumb things. We've done a lot of dumb things. But you begin by admitting it and saying, I'm sorry we did that. We won't do it again. That's fine.
And do you think our government was involved at all? Because that's
my
the question is, was it an
understanding
overlapping, and again, I don't know the answer. Was it
Well, I think I do, but you know, everyone lies about everything, so I could be completely wrong. But here's what I believe to be true. I think there's been enough, I think this is maybe the one crime the CIA is not responsible for, which is kind of amazing. There's such a long list.
I don't know, Tucker. You
I know,
you gotta
I know.
win me over on that one.
But what's kind of crazy is that even to say that, I mean, it's probably public. My dad worked with the CIA. It's like, I'm from the United States. I love this country passionately. I have no problem admitting the truth, which is that the CIA, which has a lot of probably decent people who work there, including, as I already admitted, some I know and love, has done horrible things. That doesn't make me anti-American or a bigot or something. It's okay to criticize government agencies when they do bad things. And if they're foreign government agencies, why in the world would that be not allowed to say there are tons of things Mossad does that I agree with, there are some things I disagree with, including running criminal enterprises in my country? Like, no, you're not allowed to do that. Spying on us, not allowed to do that, period. And I don't know why no one feels free to say it. There's not one American politician who will say that. And the effect of that is to make everybody crazy, and also, by the way, very anti-Israel. Like, if you want to make people hate something, tell them they can't talk about it. Call them names when they ask honest questions about it. That's what's happening right now. And you often hear people say, like, what's all this anti-Israel sentiment going on the internet? And there's a lot of it. In fact, way too much for me. I'll just be honest.
And the Jew hate is out of control. I hate that stuff.
I don't like it. I'm a Christian. I don't think that you should assess people on the basis of the group they belong to.
I agree.
Every person has a soul. Every person is created by God. You should assess each person on the basis of that person.
On their merits.
God knows every hair on your head, we're told. So each person is distinct and unique. You're not a faceless cog. You're not a member of a group, a herd. You're a human being created in the image of the Creator. So I just don't like that whole way of thinking, but it's everywhere all of a sudden, and you have to ask, why is it everywhere? Well, one of the reasons, probably a lot of reasons, but one is because anybody who asks obvious questions like, hey, were you running a sexual blackmail scheme in my country? Shut up, says Ben Shapiro, you're an anti-Semite. Well, no, I'm not. Why is it not a fair question? There's tons of evidence this is happening. Like, are you joking? You're not going to shout me down, by the way, at this point. I spent 4 years being shouted down by the left for asking, I thought, pretty reasonable questions. I have always felt very moderate. I'm not a hater at all, and I'm not going to become one. And I don't think my questions are insane. They may be stupid, but if they're stupid, then just speak slowly so I can understand as you answer them. They're not crazy, and if they are, tell me how. But dismissing me out of hand by attacking my motive is not going to work. And telling me that my question is an insult to the children who died in Texas in a flood is an outrageous response. You are, anyway, sorry. And I say that with love, but I voted against that kind of crap. It's not just the argument, it's the style of argument. You are not allowed to dismiss my questions as a United States citizen with a wave of the hand and an attack on my character. You get the middle finger in the face from me for doing that until you stop doing it. So I think we have an absolute right to demand sensible answers. And the first question is, who the hell was Jeffrey Epstein working for? Why did Leon Black pay him $100 and something million for tax advice? Don't stop lying to me. It's not tax advice. I have an accountant. It's not that expensive. And like, what was this? And anyway, last thing I'll say, just as you're following along, my understanding as of 6:45 p.m. Friday is that this really isn't about sex as much as it's about the international and financial intel questions. That's what it's about. Those are we know Jeffrey Epstein was a sex freak. We know a lot of women were hurt. But what we don't know is why. And so I think it's fair, or at least I plan to going forward over the next week, as we're going to dig into this pretty hard, is to press those questions. Like, big picture, what was this about?
What are the questions you're going to ask?
What was this?
Where do you...
How do you go from being, you know, a math teacher at Dalton to having your own private island in the largest house in Manhattan.
And so who is Les Wexner?
Les Wexner.
He's alive, I guess, right?
Les Wexner is the former CEO of a company called The Limited, which was a massive clothing
Victoria's
retailer.
Secret or something, right?
Correct, Abercrombie & Fitch, I think, and a bunch of different
And he lives in Ohio
clothing
or something,
companies.
right?
The richest person in Ohio, super impressive guy in a lot of ways, very rich guy. And he wound up financing a lot of Epstein's life. And he's never been interviewed by the feds, ever. And so that's like right there. Who made the decision not to interview the guy who's bankrolling the whole thing? You arrest Jeffrey Epstein, but it's like, well, where did Jeffrey Epstein get the plane? I'm 56, I've worked 6 days a week my whole life. I fly on Southwest. Like, how do you get a plane?
He had multiple.
What are you even talking? Like, where did that come from?
He had multiple Gulfstreams, multiple.
Right, okay.
Which each one is 30, 40, 50 million.
I'm not saying he didn't deserve the plane. I'm just saying, what did he do to get the plane?
And can I go a step further? There are no trades to Jeffrey Epstein's name at any of the trading desks.
Right.
So this guy allegedly was a wealth manager. Someone who he's Brett Weinstein's brother, Eric Weinstein. He's right on some stuff, disagree on other, but he had a really good point. He said he sat down with Epstein once. He said within 5 minutes, he said this guy was a total fraud. This guy he was like weird and crass and talked about weird sex stuff, but he wasn't deep, like at all.
Right.
And like, because Weinstein, you can't call him dumb, he would ask questions about financial instrumentation and derivatives, and Epstein knew nothing about it. So here's a guy that we have no trades to his name. Anyone who met him never was like, this is like a brilliant guy. And yet he ends up with a lifestyle, you would think that he's worth $50 billion.
Well, you knew he wasn't brilliant because he kept sending money to Harvard to put his name on things. So what you have there is a very recognizable kind of social insecurity, status anxiety that comes from inadequate people who want to convince you that they're like really impressive and earned what they have. And it's a very common tick in our ruling class now, most of whom are deeply mediocre, a lot of whom have gotten rich in businesses that are basically dishonorable, lending money at exorbitant rates. And they are trying to like let you know that they're legit. And so that's just a tell for me as a person that Epstein was a guy who didn't make his money the old-fashioned way by doing something innovative and clever and working hard. He did it by means and in the service of something that he didn't want to admit publicly. So anyway, those are the questions that I would ask. And my strong sense is that it is dawning on the administration, thank heaven, that this is a huge problem. I think there were people, there are always going to be people like Ben Shapiro or Hugh Hewitt at Fox News who were like, oh, it's just who cares about this guy? He's already, like when Ben Shapiro was telling us, who cares who killed Kennedy? That was a long time ago. Okay. He was the elected president of the United States, fair to ask. But there are some people, I think, administration who are like, yeah, really, Jeffrey Epstein, like, is that the biggest thing going on in the world right now? And I think they sort of missed, not all, but some, that it's a metaphor for everything. It's like, how do all these people get so rich in the first place? Not just Jeffrey Epstein, but like, how did Bill Ackman get so rich? Is he really like a market genius? Is he? Is he like $9 billion smart? I know him, no. Not. Like, what is that? And why can't my kids buy a house anymore? Like, what's going on in this country? Why are a small number of pretty sleazy people collecting all the money and everyone else is like going backward, which is happening? And why are they, no, I'm serious. And those people, no matter what they do, are never punished for anything. Like, no matter what they do, they're never punished for anything. Bill Ackman goes on TV and is like, Herbalife is terrible. Driving down, this is very common, using CNBC to drive down stock prices and then betting against them in the market. It's called shorting. How in the world does that benefit the American economy? How is that capitalism as we were taught as kids? How is charging 30% on a credit card legal? When the mafia tried that, they went to jail under RICO. But that's suddenly allowed? A buddy of mine's daughter just got in trouble with a car loan. She refinanced her car at 40% interest. I said, let's get guns and go get the money back. And by the way, the last thing I'll say is, the one topic that nobody ever talks, everyone's like all about race hatred and you should hate this group for that reason and it's the fault of this group, white people, black people, Jewish people.